everybody, welcome to the Pagan Perspective. My name is Angel and I'm your Wednesday host, and this week we're talking about shifts in our practices. The question comes from Danny and it is, what has been the biggest shift in your practice to date? And interesting enough, I have had a huge shift in my practice within the last, I would say, 6 months. Noticeably within the last 2. Okay, my goddess and God, my goddess has always been Isis for 20-something years that I've been on this path. Always been Isis, never thought it was going to change, never wanted it to change, thought I needed it to change. And Thoth has been my God probably 7-8 years, maybe 7-8 years. And what happened is in 2014, a mentor and a very great friend of mine passed away. And it has deeply affected me, and I still am very mournful, grieving for that loss. And I started, because she was also a witch and we did things together and she was a mentor and I looked up to her a lot. Doing anything after she died felt painful because it was connected to something that connected me to her. So I started to pull back a little bit in my own personal practice. I didn't do any rituals. I didn't celebrate any Sabbaths. I didn't do any crafting. I didn't do anything. I got into a coven, and I started doing things with my coven, but I still wasn't doing stuff by myself. I felt a big, huge shift probably about 6 months ago. I have had some big changes in my life, and personal changes, and I started to even regress even more. And I think if I started having dreams about places and things happening and symbols and a presence that felt way different. It felt like a deity, but it felt very different than Isis. Isis, she feels very comforting. Like, she wraps her wings around you. She's very mothering and supportive, and you feel safe in that space with her. This felt more, I didn't feel threatened. I didn't feel like I was threatened. I didn't feel that nurturing nature. I felt protected, but I felt like sort of like a drill sergeant kind of attitude. Like, pick yourself up and get yourself moving. Nope, not going to sit here and, baby you. Let's get it going. And I went to a friend. Well, I kind of started looking up all these different things that were happening, and because I couldn't figure out what was going on. Last thing I ever thought was my goddess would have shifted to a new goddess. So I started looking all these things up, and a goddess constantly appeared in my research, and I thought to myself, there's just no way. There's no way. I've never had an interest in this goddess, and in fact, I really didn't want to work with this goddess. Not because I think she's bad, not because I think that I couldn't do it. She was just way different than me that I felt I was, and I felt more connected with Isis. So I spoke with a friend of mine whose goddess is the Morgan, and I said, hey, this is what's going on. Is this the Morgan coming into my life? And he gave me an exercise to do. I did it, and I told him what my findings were, and he said, say hello to the Morgan. So the Morgan has come into my life in a huge way. And I don't feel like Isis has really left. Isis and Thoth haven't left. They're kind of just chilling on the side, just watching, what's going on. I really feel like Thoth is my mind, Isis is my soul, or my heart, and the Morgan is my soul and my spirit. I've noticed in my research of Morgan, that I am so much more like her guys' different aspects of her than I am of Isis anymore. I've evolved. It was really hard at first to accept that change because Isis and me have had a very long relationship, and it was just very hard for me to wrap my head around that. Plus, I never thought it would change. I never thought it would change. And the way that Isis works opposed to the way that the Morgan works is very different. And the Morgan is very different with every person who follows her, honors her, or worships her. For me, the Morgan is very much about the process of things. You know, she's not going to hand me stuff. I'm not just going to find stuff. I have to make things for the altar. I have to hand make things for the altar. I have to grow things for the altar. Things I have to go out into nature and find these things. It's not something I'm just going to find on the internet or at a store. With Isis, things just came to me. It was like, oh, this can be on the altar, and this and this. It's not the same with the Morgan. And I think that I became very complacent in my practice. I think that started with my friend's passing, and it just kind of got more out of control, or not out of control, but it regressed more and more. And I think Isis kind of went, okay, I can't help you with this. You're not coming back to me, so I'm going to send you somebody who you need right now, or maybe indefinitely, I don't know. And that's when the Morgan showed up. And she has really kicked my butt in the best way. You know, she motivates me. I am doing things. I'm making things. I'm, you know, out there and really getting involved in things. Whereas before I kind of just hung back and just kind of let it go on around me as long as I was there to watch it. And now I'm involved. So the biggest shift in my practice has been that my goddess has changed. And changed from Isis to the Morgan. And it was a very scary thing for me because I have no idea how to work with the Morgan. But I'm learning, and it's good. It's a good thing, and I think that it's probably been the best thing that has happened to me in my practice in quite a long time. So, for me, the shift was my goddess changing, and learning to embrace that. And I'm still working on that, but it's a lot better now. So, anyways, I hope that answered the question. I'm pretty sure that answered the question. If you guys have any questions about anything, any of the videos, please comment below. Comment on any of the videos. We'd all love to hear from you. And until next week, when we will be back with another question, I hope everybody has a great rest of the week, and blessed be. Bye.